Have you ever wanted to get creatively crafty but found yourself unable to due to having to maintain a cheap way of living, whether it's out of necessity or because of personal preference? Well, I have some ideas for you. I decided to go down to a dollar store, one of my local Dollar Trees, in fact, where things actually aren't usually a dollar or less anymore, but still relatively inexpensive compared to other places. And turns out a lot of these stores actually have craft aisles now, as well as a few other things in general anyway. So one day I meandered about my local store and I grabbed a few things, namely a little notebook diary sort of thing, and I did go for one of the slightly fancier ones, I guess you could say. They are $1.25, so not a big deal. Then I grabbed several sets of stickers. I wanted to give myself a few different kinds to work with, but also keep a sort of cohesive vibe going for what I had in mind. I started by opening the journal and going through the stickers that I had, the different sets, and figuring out which one I wanted to start with for the base to work with. After I decided that, I opened it up and I decided to place the first couple stickers. While I did have some idea in mind of how I wanted things to be, a sort of whimsical kind of fantastical feel, I didn't think too much about what I was hoping for. And some of the thoughts I did have, for example, I wanted to have a character or some sort of story that I understood from the get-go. I ended up having to let those go as I went on, and I found it to be more enjoyable that way, to just kind of place things as I felt my way through it. I vibed it out. As I got into my second set of stickers to use, I realized that I wanted to add some depth to it, especially because some of the sets do have a certain 3D, I guess you could call it, quality to them on purpose, and I decided to make use of that, especially so in layering things a little bit here and there. For example, bottom left you'll see I have the window hanging over a little bit, one of the other stickers that has forget-me-nots and a little heart says hope and butterfly. Similarly, up on top there is a flower pot, and yes, I did turn it upside down technically. I think it looks nice though, and that's what matters. And some of the flowers actually go over the very tip top of the stone bits around the window. I was just kind of enjoying myself, doing what tasted right to me. With the discovery that the windows actually could open a little bit, you gotta be gentle, but it worked. I decided to add a little heart piece in one of them, so it looks like almost a cage or trapdoor behind something, an obstacle, and then added one of the keys on the outside because it kind of suggests a story a little bit. Once satisfied with the placement of things and not wanting to put any more, pretty happy with it overall, I decided to call it there. I did close the journal a bit just to try to flatten things out a little bit more, so make it a little bit neater, nicer, what have you. And then I decided to just have a look at it as it was, as the final piece for that time. For some, this will be enough, this will be satisfying, this will be perfect, this will leave them content and feeling fulfilled. But for others, there may be some more to do still, and let's get into a few ideas there. For those who may be trying this on their own, whether it's just for fun, to pass some free time, to do with others even, or to get past some creative artistic block, whether it be for writers, drawing, art, etc., I have a few potential options that could be interesting. Look at the scene you set for yourself and consider sketching, drawing, or even painting or some other medium, whichever you prefer, based on that scene. You could either flesh it out into a fuller scene or do what's there as it is even. It's completely up to you, of course. You could also create a character who would be in that sort of setting, or perhaps take features of the scene you set and use that all to make a character based off those some way or another. Again, it's open to interpretation for what one would rather do, what one wants to challenge themselves to do, or even just what one feels would be best. You could also go to make a story by, say, writing, fiction, something. It could be very short, could be longer, could be a one-shot, or you could even do something more like a song. When music tells stories, it could be something like that, or if you're just getting an impression of a certain sound that you'd be hearing from it, that could, if only emotionally offer some sort of journey, some sort of tale of its own. That could be another thing to do with it. There are plenty of other possibilities as well. It's just a matter of how expansive you want to let yourself go and which direction you decide to take it in.